Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm the EDPM boss. Now in this video, I'm going to be going through some key questions to assist you as you prepare for the paper 2 of the CSEC EDPM examination. Now, a few points to note before I get into the demonstration aspect of the video. All right. I must inform you that you will be the first set of students to be completing the exam based upon the revised syllabus. Now, this exam should be scheduled for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Now, on previous papers or previous exams, it was 2 hours and 20 minutes, right? So what they would have done is removed the speed test component from the exam, right? So this upcoming exam, you should not be getting a speed test. All right. So you get 2 hours and 10 minutes to complete 4 questions, right? So no speed test. All right. So bear that in mind. Now, other things to bear in mind, remember it's an online exam for those who don't know, right? It's an online exam. So you use an online platform. Right, I would have spoken about that on a previous video, a video that I uploaded to assist students in doing the exam last year. So you can check out that video. All right, at the end of this video, I'll post the link for you to access it. All right. So now say let's get right into the demonstration aspect of this video. So as you should be seeing on screen, all right, I have a specimen paper here from the syllabus. All right, as you're seeing, 2 hours and 10 minutes, as I said. All right, so this paper will be set up in a way, basically, like the upcoming exam. All right, so it's just to give you an idea of how the upcoming exam may be set up. All right, so the first question I want to show you how to do or demonstrate for you is a mail merge. Now, mail merge should be nothing new to you. You should have learned that in class, right? The teacher should have taught you mail merge, as well as it is a component on the SBA. So you should have done that as well, right? In that regard. So just going to demonstrate how to do a mail merge. I look at maybe 2 questions, right? I'll just go through to give you an idea as to how to attempt these questions. You know, the exact question will not come, but the instructions will be similar. All right. So, you know, EDPM is about following instructions to maximize on your marks. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the 2024 paper, right? The 2024 paper, that was the last mail merge question was given. So I'm going to look at that question, and then I look at the one on the specimen paper. All right. So as displayed on screen, I hope we're seeing clearly. As displayed on screen, all right. This is question 2, all right, from a previous paper. All right. Now it says use suitable software to create a mailing list using the information below. All right. Save the mailings list as EPT underscore heads. All right. Using A4 letter size paper, we're going to create a suitable memo header with an appropriate logo utilizing the information below. All right. So usually mail merge questions would be a letter, maybe a block style letter, right? A semi-block letter. Usually they use a letter. So in this case, they use a memo, or they instructed you to create a memo and use mail merge in doing so, right? So I'm just going to demonstrate as to how you would attempt this question. All right. So first thing, as seen, is the mailing list, right? So the mailing list is basically the recipients who you would want to send the memo to, right? The persons you will want to send the memo or the letter to, all right? So these would be your data source, right? Or in this case, your mailing list. All right, so we're going to create this first. We'll encourage you to always do that. Create the data source first, and then you type the letter or the memo, whatever the case may be. All right. All right, so to reduce time, what I have done, I have basically typed a section of the memo. All right, I basically set up the memo. So now I'm going to do the data source. All right, show you how to do the data source and show you how to insert what we call the merge fields. All right, to show you exactly what you should do if you should get a mail merge question. All right, so let's go. So in doing the mail merge, first thing you have to do, you have to go to the section that says mailings on Microsoft Word. All right. So we'll go to mailings. And this section not showing up too much. All right. So go to mailings. After going to mailings, then you will go to start mail merge. All right. Now we're doing a memo, but we can always select letter in this case, all right, as we're not doing email, envelope, or any of the other. So letter would be the most appropriate in this case, all right. So we'll go to type new list, all right. Now we want it to be set up. We want to set it up as displayed in the question, all right. So let me just go back to the question. So as we're seeing, we have title, surname, department, and date. All right. So those will be the titles or the headings, you can say, that we will need in order to insert the recipient information or create the mailings list. All right. So I'm just going to create that as quickly as possible. All right. So in order to do that, we'll have to customize columns. As you're seeing here, we have a number of column headings, which we don't need. So I'm going to customize the columns, right? So this is what you will do. So anything that you don't need, you can always delete, right? You can also rename some of the different headings as seen here, all right? So I'm going to delete first name, right? I'm going to delete first name as it is not needed. Now we have last name right here, but on the question it said surname. So what we can do is rename last name to surname. So we click on it and we select rename. I'm just going to change it to surname. All right, simple as that. All right, so the next thing we have right here is company name. All right, but they have department. So we'll just rename that as well instead of deleting it. So we put department right here, we press OK, and we have address line one and so forth. Now, none of that is needed. The next thing that they have is date. So you're going to rename this. We'll press OK. All right. So we could delete every other thing right here. However, we're just not going to use them, right? So as long as it's lined up in this way or in the way that is displayed on the list that is given, right? You don't have to worry about deleting the rest of the information, all right? And I'll show you why as we go along. So if we're satisfied with how it looks, we press OK there, and then we begin to type in the information. So I'm just going to type it in quickly. I think it's about just 4 names. All right, so we can type that quickly. All right, so in title we'll have Mr. I think it's Benjamin Yes, Benjamin. Department is finance. And they said to insert today's date. Now I'm just going to leave the date section blank, right? Because on the question itself, you aren't expected to insert the date as a merge field. You're only expected to type in the date, one section, right? So I don't know if it's a mistake they would put this for, but I'm not going to do the date section. All right, it's not necessary at this point in time. All right, so I'm going to leave that blank for now. All right, but when you go to the exam, ensure you follow the instruction that is given. All right, so next thing, new entry. When you're completed, the first one you press new entry here. Okay, type in the other information. So you have Mr. Jones. His department is production and management. Now you can always enlarge the column if you wish. All right. So we're good again. New entry, Mr. Edward, Edwards, and his department is human resources. All right. So one more, Mr. Sugrim seems. So Mr. Sugrim and his department is accounting. All right. Also, I made a mistake here. Mr. Sugrim, and it's accounting. All right. So when you're finished typing up the recipient information, all right, or the mailings list as they said, all right, you'll press OK, and then it will require you to save. Now, remember on the question, let's look back on it. Remember on the question, it said, save the mailing list as DEPT, right? Department heads, right? So you don't write out department, you save it as what you're instructed to save it as, right? DEPT underscore heads, all right? So let me go back, all right? So it's DEPT underscore heads, all right? I'll press save. You don't have to press documents. Just type it in as what they instruct you to save it as and just press save. All right, don't click on anything. It will be saved in data source. All right, or it will be saved as a data source. Okay, so after doing the mailings list, then you're expected to create this letterhead. You know a letterhead goes in the header section of the paper. All right. Afterwards, you follow the instruction. They say using the memo header created, type the circular memorandum, right? Memo should be in indented style, all right? Formatted using Times New Roman and so forth. So I'm not going to get too much into the instructions as it relates to this. I just want to show you how to do the mail merge process, all right? So I've already typed it up as I told you, right? Just typed up a short part of it. Let me show you how it looks. So this is how it looks. So you have memo here in full, center, bold, caps, expand, spacing by 3 point, right? You're supposed to type it on 12, but you will expand spacing by 3 point as seen there. Title, surname, department. Now these are what we call the merge fields, all right? So the merge fields are placeholders, but we call them merge fields, all right? No, we insert these, we never type them. All right. So anytime you see something looking like this, you know that more than likely it's the merge fields and we insert these. We'll show you how to do that. All right. So this is how it looks, but the memo is to be typed in indented style. Now, the layout of the indented style is not set up like this, right? So the big memorandum, remember they said you have to write it out in full. So you're going to write out the entire word memorandum. right? You're going to have two and the ref in the same line. So you can use a tab key, right? Tab it over to a suitable position. You put the ref or the reference, and then the from and the date would be in the same line. Subject heading would be in the center as displayed, right? And you know that you would indent the first line of each paragraph would be indented, right? So you should know how to set up a memorandum, right? What I want to do is show you how to do the mail merge aspect, all right? So I've already started it. Now remember we saved the mailings list or the data source as DEPT underscore heads, all right? So what I'm going to do now is insert the merge fields as C, all right? So right here, as it says, insert merge field. So we'll click the drop down to make things easier, right? And we'll insert title, space, put a space, surname, put a space, and department, all right? Those are what are needed. So we use the tab key, we tab to a suitable position. We'll line up the date with the ref, all right? So it's REF. You see what it is again. So REF, so you have WA/OP, AS 4786. All right. So basically that's how it will be set up. All right. You follow the necessary instructions. All right. I'm just going to show you how to run the mail merge process now. All right. So afterwards, as seen here, right? What you will do is do a preview of the results. So you've inserted the merge fees and you have typed everything, right? I've just typed the first paragraph. I don't need to type every single thing to show you how to do the mail merge, right? So I just typed the first paragraph. So preview result, we'll click on that to see if all is well, right? You use this arrow to check and see if you have everyone. All right, remember we only inserted 4 persons. All right, and it seems fine. So what we'll do, we will merge. We'll give it a final merge. All right. So let's look back at the instructions before we move. So the instruction says save the main document as memo form or memo underscore form. All right. So let's look. So this document right here is what we call the main document or the form letter, right? The document or the main document will have the merge fees displayed. So you'll see this title, surname, department, right? These are to be displayed on the main document, right? So the main document wouldn't have the name of a person, of any person. The main document should look like this, all right? So this is what you will save, the document that has the merge fields displayed, no specific name. All right, so try to remember that. So you'll save this as what they instruct you to save it as. All right, and that was what again? Memo underscore form. All right, so you save it as memo underscore form in this manner. All right. And then now, afterwards, the next instruction said merge the documents, right? Merge the documents, so you're going to save the merge document as final memo, all right? So let's look how we'll merge it now. So to merge the documents, right here, it says finish and merge. So we go to edit individual document and they want everything. So it's all, right? If they wanted a current record, right, or a specific person, you would find that person right here. Let's say they wanted who is on the preview. Let's say they wanted Mr. Edwards. from human resources. You know that you would be the third recipient, right? Therefore, when you edit individual document and you press current record, this is a person that you would get. But they want everyone, right? They want all the merged documents. So therefore, we go to edit individual document, all is selected, we press OK. All right. So now we can scroll and see if we have all four documents. All right. So we're supposed to have four. All right. I have an extra page here by mistake. I had an extra page, but we're just showing you how to do the main merge process. So as you're seeing, first one, Mr. Benjamin, second one, Mr. Jones, all right, Mr. Edwards, and we have Mr. Sugrim, all right, basically. So all would be well, and you will see this as final memo, as said. All right, so you save two documents as seen. You save main document, that's the one with the merge fields, as memo underscore form. You do the main merge process as I said. Go to finish and merge, edit individual document. All will be selected. You press OK, you'll get all the documents, right? All the documents for the different recipients, and you'll save that as that document as final memo. All right. So I hope you have an understanding of how to do the mail merge process based on my demonstration. Right. It's quite a simple process. Right. You just have to remember the steps, and you should have no problem doing any mail merge whatsoever. Whatever form they give you it in, you should have no issue in completing it. All right. Now, the one on the specimen paper, it looks like a, a mail merge question that was given a long time ago, maybe in a 2012 paper. It looks similar to an outdated or an exam that was given a long time ago. All right. Now the instructions are not as clear as this, right? There's not an instruction telling you to merge and save the final merge document and so forth. Right? They tell you to save number of documents. I'm going to show you. I'm just going to just run through what you're expected to do on that paper. All right, so hold on. Let me just bring up that paper. All right. So on this paper, the specimen paper, all right, one from the syllabus as said, you are instructed produce a main document and data file or data source is the same thing, right? The mailing list, basically, right? That's what they want you to do. Create a letterhead as usual, right? With an appropriate logo. You're going to do a block style letter, right? And they give you the instruction. Address the letter to Mrs. Danette Caitlin, right? President of such and such, merge the documents and print the letter, right? You're not going to do any printing, right? As I said, that's why I said that the paper, the specimen paper, the question on this specimen paper is set up like one of those older exams, right? So no printing, you're not going to do any printing, right? So I don't think you get an instruction like that. Produce envelopes addressed to Miss Danette Caitlin. I should have shown you how to do an envelope. I'll show you how to do that, right? Expand all abbreviated words, save main document as letter, say the data file as addresses, print one copy of the main document. All right, so they only want main document here and addresses, right? They didn't ask for the merged documents. All right. So that's why I didn't bother to really do this question. I wanted to show you how to do the merging of the documents and to save it and so forth. All right. But we look at this question regardless. All right. So quickly, let me just bring it up. I would have completed it. All right. Before I bring it up though, let me just show you how the letter is set up. So on this letter, you have the letterhead, of course, this information. You have the reference, today's date as they instruct you, and then the merge fees will be name, position, company address 1 to 3. And they also have salutation. All right. So this is how it will be set up as you're seeing on screen. All right. You create your letterhead just as how you would have learned, right? In the header section, you put your logo and all that. You have your reference, you have a date, and then you have the merge fields. And remember what we said about the merge fields? We do not type. Don't type these things. We insert them. All right. So I'm just going to remove them. All right. And show you how to insert them again. All right. Now remember where we go? We go to mailings, then we go to insert merge field. Now, remember, I just did a mail merge not too long ago, right? So let's say I have let's say I have the mailing list already. All right, I already have the mailing list. I would go to select recipient and use existing list. All right. And I already have it as addresses, so I already don't need to demonstrate or show you how to do that again. I just showed you how to create the mailing list and save it and all that. All right. So I already have it. So you're going to insert name or rank position. So you're going to insert name, position, company, and the address section. So you have address 1, 2, and 3. All right. Give it a space. And then for the there, we have there. We're going to insert salutation. All right. So all of these would have been inserted. All right. You remember the customize column section. Right. So I would have customized the column headings and then I would have inserted the information. Now for the salutation, usually they want you to use the title of the person. So whether it's a Mr. or a Miss or a doctor, whatever the title is, right? Usually is the title and the last name of the person, right? If you're not otherwise instructed. All right. So unless you're otherwise instructed, you usually use the title and the last name for the salutation. So example, if the person name is John Brown or Mr. You say Mr. John Brown, but in the salutation section, it will be Mr. Brown. All right. But yes, let's really do the preview. So the preview, remember how the preview goes, right? So we have Mrs. Danette Caitlin, right, and so forth, and it says Mrs. Caitlin, all right, and we can skip through and see all the persons, all right. So we have 6 of them. I remember, more than likely, if they give you a mail merge question, they will want you to save the main document, which would be this with the merge fields. All right, remember that. So you save it as what they instruct you to save it as on this paper. Remember, they would have told you to do that. All right, so they said to save it as a letter. Data file saved as addresses. We already spoke about that, but they didn't say to save the merged documents. All right, so we're just going to review how to do that. Remember, we go to edit individual document. I would press all if they want everyone. Now, I think on the question, let me look back at it. Produce, envelope, merge documents. Print letter to Mrs. Caitlin. All right, so let's say they instructed you to um to show the letter for only or save the letter for Mrs. Caitlin only, right? Remember Mrs. Caitlin, you have to figure out where Mrs. Caitlin is. So she's right here, right? So she's the first recipient that was inserted. Therefore, you can go to finish and merge, edit individual document, and you can press current record. When you press OK, you will get this document right here with Mrs. Danette Caitlin. All right. So you'd save that as whatever they tell you to save it as if they only want one record, right? Or if they only want one letter with a specific name, right? A specific recipient. All right. Otherwise, when you do the merging, you will merge it with everyone, right? All. All right. Let me just remove this. All right. So just remember the main document, the one with the merge fields, and the merged documents would be the one with all the recipients. All right. So we're going to look at an Excel question now. Now, on the specimen paper, Excel question given, all right, comes with a number of instructions. All right, so we're going to do this one. All right, now the instructions, first one says utilize appropriate software to type the document using landscape orientation. Now notice it instead using spreadsheet or using Microsoft Excel, right? So it says using appropriate software. Therefore, you need to determine the most appropriate software to be used to complete this question. Now, based upon how the question is set up or the instructions that are given, you should figure out that it's more than likely Excel, right? You see calculate right here. All right. You see insert a chart and so forth. So you figure out that more than likely it's Excel. All right. So let's look at the table itself. So this is what you're expected to do. Expected to create this table, all right, following all the necessary instructions. All right. So I've already went ahead and typed in these figures, right? I've already typed in information displayed here. What I'm going to do now is go through the instructions and show you exactly what to do. All right. So Times New Roman, you already know to do that. Change the font, all right? Save the document as that. When you have completed the document, you will save it. Calculate the total sales, total purchases, total profits for each branch, all right? Calculate the average profit and arrange the table from lowest to highest based on averages, all right? So we're going to go through that. I'm going to go through different instructions that are given. All right. So on screen here, you should be seeing the Excel, completed Excel question. All right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to erase the calculated figures. I said basically I completed already. I'm going to erase the figures and then show you how to calculate, how to use formula to calculate. All right. I think this should be clear as well. Yes. And then the totals for the different sections. All right. Nice, nice, nice. All right. So before I do the calculation, I think some formatting of the table has to be done. Let me just do that firstly. All right. So row height. So bold branch. This is supposed to be in the center. Pizza world and decision table. Now, in order to display headings in the center over a table, we have to use the merge and center option. Now, how do we determine from where to where we will merge? We'll have to determine that based upon the amount of columns that are displayed. So we have number of columns here, right? Remember, columns are designated by letters, rows are designated by numbers. So we'll work with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. So we'll have to highlight from A to K, right? And do the merge and center. All right, then we'll display the information. This information will be displayed in the center over all of this, right? Over the entire table, basically. All right, so let's look. So yes, so we have A to K, we apply the merge and center. We've done it here as well, and we've applied the size 14. All right, now right here where we have branch, sales, and so forth, we need to apply the merge and center. The instruction says that as well. So right here we have sales, so we'll merge it to here. All right, so merge and center. Expenditure goes straight over to total. Merge and center. Profit goes way over to here. Or we go merge and center. All right. Now where we have branch right here, you have to merge it downwards. All right. So we'll apply merge and center. And it's supposed to look like that. All right. Now, another instruction is there. Some other instructions are there, but what I'll do the calculation, get all the figures and then we do the rest. All right. So first thing first, we have our sales figures, right? And they want to find the total. That's simple, right? All you're going to do is use your auto sum feature. So we'll do one, and then we use a shortcut method to get the others. All right. So we'll have auto sum right here. You go here, you select auto sum. All right. So when you select auto sum, notice you see a little green box. Don't know if anybody's seeing it. Right? See a little green box right here. You put the cursor on that. You'll get this cross and you'll drag it downwards. Right? And you'll automatically get the other figures. All right. So we'll do the same for expenditure, auto sum, click on it, and we'll do the drag down method. All right, simple as that. Now, let me show you something. Don't make a mistake like this. You highlight and you get the answer, and then you bring it down like that. What's going to happen? It's going to duplicate everything. All right. So ensure you select the specific figure, right? And then you apply the drag down method for the formula to be entered in those other cells. All right, see, it is the same formula, the cell address just changed. All right, now we're at the profit section. So to get the profit section, you will have to minus the expenditure, right? The expenditure from the sales. All right, so we will type in this formula, right? Can I just click any auto anything? You have to type this formula in. All right. So we'll go equal sum, still equal sum, open bracket, and then we will minus, as said, the expenditure from the sales. All right. So the sales for the January to June period, that figure is right here. All right. So it's in cell B6. Remember, we don't type the exact figures, we type the cell address that has the figure in it. So this figure right here is in B6. I could click on it and it would come up, but I'm just going to type it in. So it's B6, right? And remember we minus, right? So minus the expenditure for the January to June period, and that would be E6, all right? So B6 minus E6, we press enter, we don't have to close the bracket, and we get our first figure. All right, I remember the drag down method, making it easier for us. All right, simple as that. We do the same thing right here again, equals sum, open bracket, and it's for the July to December period. So in this case, it's C6 minus, put a minus sign, and in this case, it's F6. All right, press enter, and you get the figure. You apply the drop down method. All right, simple as that. Now, the next thing we want to do now is get the total. So you know it's auto sum again, right? So you highlight, you apply the auto sum feature, you get the answer, and then you do the drop down method. All right, and the last calculation that we should do now is to find the average. All right, now you should know to find average. All right, quite simple. The formula is equal average, right? You write out the entire word average, or you can simply click here and select it. But I'm going to type it in, all right? So it's equal average, open bracket, and you want to find the average for the profit, all right? So you know that it would be these two figures, right? Divided by 2. Right? Regular. Yeah, in a regular way. But as it relates to the applying the formula, we would put the first cell address that has the figure, right? And we put a colon and the second cell address with the other figure. All right. So in this case, it would be H6. So H6 colon I6. All right, so you want to find the average of those two figures. All right, and you get the answer. Remember the drag down method, quick and fast. So you will click there and you'll drag it downwards and you should get the answers. All right, simple as that. Now, let's see the other instructions. I will do them one by one. All right, so format the figures to 2 decimal places. I would have already done that. All right, now this is what we will use. If we use this, we're going to get the dollar sign, but we don't need the dollar sign. We already have it displayed up here. All right, so we use the comma. Let me take it off and apply one for you to see. Let me do it right here. So what we can do, try to get the top of the screen to show clearly. All right, so let me just put it on general text. All right, so it will look like that. Initially, it would look like that when you just type it in. Apply the comma, style. All right, it's going to be displayed like that, comma to separate, and the decimal. All right, decimal point, and it's 2 zeros as you see right there. All right, so that's how they want it to look. All right, sometimes they tell you to apply the currency, right? Apply currency format. You know that you will click here and you will select currency, right? And currency would display the dollar sign before it. All right, let's say there's told you to remove the decimal. All right, so you will remove it in this way. All right, they don't want any decimal points. So just showing you a few things that may be required in the exam. Right, not on this question, but just a few things that you can bear in mind. All right, so otherwise from that, let me just quickly, we don't want to spend too much time on one question. So right here, they're saying change the column width to 20 for all cells in range B4 to K12. All right, you may be wondering, how are they displaying B4 to K12? What kind of thing is that? But what they're actually saying is that all information from B4, so it will be right here, from B4 to K4, right? As seen right here, and everything downwards. All right. So that's why they have B4 to K12. So it will be all of this. All right. See, it's 12, row 12. So they're saying that the columns must be on, what is it, 20? All right. So the width of the column must be on 20. Now, to easily do that, we go to format right here, and we go to column width. All right. Currently it's on 12.86. We just change it to 20. We press OK, and it will be enlarged. Right. Columns will be extended as seen. All right. The next thing said that we must change the row height. Let me show you. Change the row height to 25 for all cells in the range A6 to A12. All right, so A6 to A12. A6 is here, not here. A6 to A12. And we'll do the same thing. We go to format, row height in this case, and they said 25. All right, press 25, and it will increase in size. All right, let's see. All right, the next thing now, they're saying we're to create a chart. All right, create a chart. Before we create a chart, let me just do some other things. So we missed out something. Let me just do that. Right here, they say arrange a table from highest to lowest based on averages. Now, I would have already done that, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. All right. So what we will do is start from averages, right? We don't need to highlight the word average, just the figures. All right. Just the figures. It's the only thing we need to highlight. Press undo. So we're going to highlight the average figures, go straight across. All right. And then we go to sort and filter. And we'll have smallest to largest. Now I already have it on smallest to largest. So I'm going to put it on largest to smallest. So see, right? The largest figure will be at the top, the smallest figure will be at the bottom in this case. But the instructed smallest to largest. So I'd click that. See, smallest figure at the top, largest figure at the bottom. And we can't highlight just the average figures only. We have to highlight everything that's aligned with the averages, right? So that it will change accordingly. So remember that. All right. If you just highlight the averages, it will just change the averages and then everything will be mixed up, right? So the wrong branch should have the wrong figures and so forth. And we don't want that. All right. So you have to highlight all the information in this case. All right. Yes. So let's go back to the instructions. Before I do the chart, there's some instructions on this itself. Let's see if we did everything. So we did that. Oh, right here, vertical heading. So we're going to look at that, how to do that. Now, these are basic instructions. You know, you're going to switch our transpose, right? Remember those things. Manuscript signs, so you transpose that and so forth. You follow those basic instructions. All right, so this is what we missed out. Vertical heading. So we're going to do this before we look at the chart itself. All right. So vertical heading, what they want you to do, all right, is for this section, you're going to, instead of it being in a horizontal manner, you're going to change it to be displayed in a vertical manner. So what we'll do, right here, we're under the alignment section. We see there's AB right here, right? Stands for basically text orientation. All right, we go into this section and we can go to format cell alignment. All right, and they say vertical. So we can always bring this straight up, right? Put it in a vertical way, right? That would be, or 0 would be horizontal, right? And this is the way that they want it to be. So the 90-degree angle would give you vertical. All right. So it's supposed to look like that. All right. So starts from the bottom of the cell and goes upwards. All right. That's the way they want it to be displayed. All right. and you should be okay in that regard. So the last thing we want to do now is creation of the chart. All right. Now let's see what they want in the chart. So they are saying create an appropriate chart using the average profits. All right. Insert chart title, data labels, move the chart to another worksheet. Create a copy of the formula sheet. Okay, so I'm going to show you that as well. All right. So as it relates to the chart, I would have already created a chart right here. I'm just going to show you how to do it. All right. So to create a chart showing the averages, you can't create a chart just showing the average figures, right? The chart needs to know what it's aligned to. What are these averages for, right? So therefore, we'll have to select two separate columns of information. So what I'm going to do, we're going to select the branches. You don't need to select the cell that has in the word branch. We'll select the branches, right? So from Kingston Hill to Old Town, we select that and we press down on the control key, press and hold the control key, and we highlight the average figures. All right. Afterward, now we'll go to insert. They didn't specify what type of chart you should use, but let's say they said the pie chart, you know how to insert a pie, right? We use a pie chart in that case. Let's say you said use a column graph or a bar graph, whatever the instruction says. All right, I'm going to show you how to use the column graph, all right, or the column chart. So it will be displayed in this manner. Now, when the chart is displayed in this manner, you will have to add number of elements to it. All right, remember they said add a chart title. Title that I'll just put a simple title. I'm going to just put branch averages. All right. And you're going to add, if you don't like this layout, you can always choose a different one or a different style, right? Whatever you want to do. Remember, they said to add data labels, right? So whatever you want to do, whichever chart you see as suitable, you can use that one. All right. So I'm going to use this one, maybe, right? And then I'm going to add axis titles as well. So the axis titles basically will give us a description of the information that we have displayed. All right, so right here, this the horizontal axis title, we're going to put branch right here, our branches, right? As these are the branches. Here now, we could have averages, or average figures, whatever. All right. So you place appropriate information, right, in the sections. Now, you can always enlarge the chart, right? Make it larger, clear for it to be seen, right? And remember, they said we are to put it on a different sheet. So you can click on it, click on copy, or you can use cut, right? And you can add a new sheet and you click anywhere and you paste it, right? With any one of the paste options. All right, and it will look like that. They instructed you to also uh, name it. So you name it as chart one. All right. You should know how to name a chart now. Right here, you just click in the section and you will change the name. So I'm just going to name it chart two because I already have a chart one. Right. So you rename it right there. Right? And you would have completed that section. Now the part here now that says create a copy of the formula sheet. Transfer the formula sheet to Word to a Word document. So let's do that quickly and move to the next question. All right, so to get the formula sheet, let me go back to our sheet one. Let me delete this from here. So to get the formula sheet, what you will do, you will go to formulas at the top, right? Right here. So you go to the formulas tab, right at the top of the ribbon, and then you will select show formulas, right? It's right over here. So when you select show formulas, it will actually display the different formulas, all right, that you would have applied. All right, so now they said that you should put it on a Word document, put it as a Word document. So I'm just going to copy everything. I'm just going to copy the table. All right. And open a blank Word document. Now it would be, let me just put it first and see how it will look. So I'm just going to put it like that. That's how it looks, right? So Microsoft Word would have resized the table and so forth for it to hold. But we want it to be clear. It's not, so the information is not really clear. So what we can do is change the orientation. They didn't instruct us to do that, but we want to make it as clearly as possible. All right. They didn't specify how we are to put it on the Word. They just say use a Word document. All right. So change the orientation. You can also change the size to make it larger. All right. So that's much better. We're seeing it clearer, right? And so forth. All right. And you just save it as what they instruct you to save it as in this case. All right. So usually students, what they do, let me just talk about the Excel questions. Usually what happens, they want you to create a chart, whether it's a pie chart, a bar graph, whatever it is. But they usually tell you to use specific information. So example, they may say, on a previous paper, they may say show the balance due for each student. Let's say they say that, right? Let's say you created a spreadsheet that is showing uh, fees paid by students and there's a balance that is owed, right? They may require to do calculation and find the balance, and then the chart that they require is to show the balance owed by each student. So, just as how I showed you a while ago for the average, you will highlight the balance due, all those figures, and then you will highlight the name of the students. So two separate columns, right, would have to be highlighted. Information in two separate sections would have to be highlighted. It's not like how you highlight everything and then you create a chart, right? You would have to highlight two separate set of information and then you will create a chart that they require. All right. So remember that students, as you go into the exam, more than likely get an Excel question. All right. So that's for the Excel question. I think I would have done enough, right? I went through enough as it relates to Excel, and I would have done Excel in previous videos as well. So you can look back at that. All right. So let's see what's the next question on the specimen paper. So on the specimen paper, the next question is a PowerPoint. Now, PowerPoint is a quite a easy question, right? One of the easier question, I should say, right? You should have done PowerPoint for your SB as well. You should have learned how to do PowerPoint, right? Quite simple, quite straightforward at times, right? So let's see what this one says. So you're required to create a PowerPoint, use appropriate design, of course. So no blank, no white background, no straight white background, right? They want you to use appropriate design, bold and center, right? The basic instructions that you should know how to apply. Insert a suitable, legible background, at least two slides. Now, this basically they're saying a clear background, right? Background that is you can still read the information. All right, something that's clear. Include a smart art design on one slide. Okay, I'll show you that. Use appropriate images to related to the topic. Display information creatively. Insert a slide, final slide for questions and so forth. All right. So this is how it is set up. Right? So they give you the basic instructions. The font that you should use is size, Right here, they say title slide should include the title of the presentation, name of the presenter, current date, insert numbers on each slide, right? Insert a new slide at the end to show all this information right here. All right. So I've already went ahead and completed this question, right? Right here, they use some shapes, right? Basically auto shapes, right? They would have used right here. Yes. This, they would have used a different layout, right? Remember, you usually use title and content. Most of these are, majority of these slides are title and content. This is a title slide. Majority of them are title and content. But this right here, they would have used the comparison, right? They use a comparison that shows the two content, right? You have one name, two content, and one name comparison, right? They're similar, but the only difference is they have these little sections for the headings, all right? So I'm just going to show you on the PowerPoint how to do a number of things, all right? So on the PowerPoint, this is how I would have created it. I didn't type in every information. I just the basic, this is the basic things to show you what to do, right? And some of the instructions. So let me go through a number of things. So right here, notice this one is, this layout is title and content, right? There are a number of layouts that you can use, right? One that we use most is title and content, where we put the title, that are the heading, and then we put the content, right? Now, right here, they used comparison slide, right? Let me just click on it and show you how it looks. All right, so that's how it would look. You'll have the heading right there, all right, and you'll have the other headings. So do and don't would be right there, all right, and everything else is good. Remember, the question said to insert suitable graphics, right, images and so forth, all right, and we use the insert the auto shapes right here. All right, let me just do a blank slide and show you. So blank, and then you go to insert shapes. And you see the basic shapes, all right? So like the triangle, you draw it and so forth. And you just click inside and you type information in it. All right. Basic thing, right? So this is one of the easier questions. All right. Just press undo. Okay. All right. And they said that you should have inserted this in the instruction, and then you insert a last slide with for questions, right? So they want you to put a slide that shows questions as the last slide. All right. Now, a section or an instruction said that you should use background. Where is it? Yes. Use legit background at least 2 slides. I think I did it on 3, right? So right here, I have a background. I use texture fill in this case, right? This one, I use pattern. And this one, I use a gradient fill. All right, now to do with the background, it's simple. All right, you click on the slide, you go to design, and over here you see format background. All right, you just click on the one and check it and do it again. Yes, so go to design, you go to format background, right? And then you have a number of options right here. All right, see, it will have changed. All right, so it all depends on what you want. You can change the color and all of that. All right. Background graphics, number of things. So you can toy around it, but that's what they are talking about as it relates to the background. All right. So you can change it up in that. Um, one more thing I wanted to show you. No, two more things. So how to insert the slide number and also how to do the smart art. Yes, smart art graphic design. So for the smart art graphic, let me just do that firstly. For the smart art graphic, just get this to go up so you can see the bar. All right, yes. So for the smart art graphic, I'm just going to insert a new slide. All right. So let's say I have title and content slide. Now right here, you are seeing 6 options, right? So right here, it's the smart art graphic option. You can also go to insert and you'll find it smart art, right? But it's already on a blank slide, so we can just easily just click it right here. So we go to smart art. They said that we should use one that is appropriate. They didn't specify what we should have used, right? So they wanted us to use that, or the question instructed students, not the students as a specimen people, instruct the question instructed that you should, where is it? Include a smart art design on one slide, right? So they didn't tell you which slide to use it and they just said apply it. Now, based upon how the slides are set up, all right, I decided to use it on this slide, right? How to avoid plagiarism would be more suitable to use it on this slide, right? As they basically giving you steps or instructions on how to avoid plagiarism. So I would have used a list. That's what I use. Type a list graphic, right? I applied a list graphic to display the information. So I think I use this one. All right, you can use you don't have to use a specific one as it did instruct you. Use one that is more suitable. All right, so you click on it and you press OK and it will display it like that. All right, if you want to add a new shape, you can always add shape after you get another one. All right, so it was 4 instructions and we have typed in 4. All right, let me see where it is, right? Yeah, so this is the information right here. All right, how to avoid plagiarism. I used that one. All right. Now, on a previous question, a past paper, they instructed students to insert an organizational chart. Now, remember, organizational chart is a display work, right? You should have done that, right, under that topic, right? So to create an organizational chart using the template, we use a smart art graphic, all right? Now remember, an organizational chart is an hierarchical structure. So we click on hierarchy as we see it right here, and we will select the most suitable one. There's one that has the assistant function, right? Or the one that shows relationship from top to bottom, just a regular organizational chart. Right? And you click on it, it will be displayed like that, and you click on it and you type in your information, right? That you want to type. So you would have done organizational chart how to insert it in Word, but we can also insert it on a PowerPoint document as well. All right. And the numbering now, as I said, I want to show you how to insert the slide numbers. So the instruction said that we should insert slide number on each slide. So as you see, I have number 1 here, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, because I inserted the extra slide right here. Let me just delete it. All right. So slide number is on all slides. Now let's say they told you to insert slide number on specific slides. Let me just show you all slides first. So you go to insert, you go to slide number, you select slide number right here, and you press apply to all if it should be on all the slides. If it is for specific slides, let's say it's for slide 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to erase it from slide 1. So if it's for 2, 3, and 4, you would go to apply only, right? So you go to insert, you have to click on slide 2, and you will press apply, right? You go to slide 3, slide number, and you press apply. You go to slide 4 and you do the same thing. So you do it one by one if they instructed you to do it on specific slides. If it's everything, you just press apply to all. All right, and slide number is supposed to be displayed. All right, in a specific position based on the design that you use, the design template that you use. All right, date and time is the same. Right here, you'll find date and time. Let's see, they told you to insert it on the title slide. You go to date and time. You select date and time. You can always change the format, right? Whatever it is, and you press apply, right? And it will be displayed. As you see, it is displayed underneath here. All right. So as simple as that, students. All right. So that's really it for the PowerPoint question. PowerPoint, as I said, I've said it multiple times. Quite simple, right? Quite simple question to do. So you should know to do that, right? As it relates to transition and animation, we don't want to get too much into that. But transition, as you know, right, has to do with how one slide changes from one to the next. Right? Animation has to do with how the text is displayed on the slide, or text are the objects, right? The manner in which they are displayed, right? When you change from one slide to the next as well. All right. But I'm not going to do to apply the transition and the animation. All right. So I'm going to move right to the next question, which I think is the most challenging one that should be on the exam, right? If you should get this on the exam, it will be the most challenging one. So I'm going to get right into it. All right. Let me look at one. I'm not going to look at the one on the specimen paper yet. I'm going to look at a different one first. All right. Let me see. All right. So the next question I want to go through is a database management question. All right. Now, database management, we hardly see these questions on EDPM exam, but on the SBA, we know that on the SBA, a component, database was a component, right? You had to create a database, right? Which is something new, all right? As we know, the SBA and the syllabus is revised. So that was something new. So database, I want to show person how to do database or to do a query and so forth. All right. So if you go in the exam and you get a question, a database question, you should have no problem. Right? It's quite straightforward. All right. But as we said, Access is not software that we would have used on a regular basis. We mostly use Microsoft Word, and we use Excel, right? So Access would be new to many persons. All right. So we're gonna get right into it. And we'll go through as quickly as possible, show you what to do and what to expect. All right. So as said, database question, we'll create that in Access. All right. As said here, use Microsoft Access to create the database and save it as KHS student information, right? Create table with information, save it as student data, use appropriate data type for each field, save the database file, and make student ID primary key, all right? So a number of things, a number of instructions are given. So what we want to do, we want to go through, start off this database question, right? And show you number of things that you need to know how to do, as if you get a database question, these are some of the things that you more than likely have to do. All right. So let's go. So first thing first, we're going to show you how to start it up. Now, it's not like Word, you just go on Word and just start doing something, right? In doing a database, you have to save before you actually start. All right. So let's go. So upon opening access, first thing first, you will see blank desktop database, just like how you have blank Word document. You click on that, of course. Now, as you see right here, it says blank desktop database, file name. So you save the database, you save the document before you actually start to type in any information. All right. Now, before I go on it, remember, let's just look at it so persons can remember. Remember, it says create the database and save it as KHS student information. All right. So that's the first thing we need to do. So KHS student information. KHS student information. All right. And you press create. So this is what you will see after doing that. All right. So what you need to do now is to create or set up the fields, right? And apply the field types, different field types. So as it says right here, create a table with the information and save it as student data. Use an appropriate data type for each field. Now, this sounds similar because you looked at something called merge fields in mail merge, right? It's kind of similar, right? Basically, what we did in mail merge was to create a database with person's information. So basically, it's something like that that we're going to do, right? But you know, it's not really a recipient. We're not sending anything to anyone, right? We're just creating a database, right? So that we can easily retrieve information, all right? Running a query and so forth. So let's just type up this information quickly. All right. I've already done it, but I'm going to show you from scratch what to do. So the first thing we have done, KHS student information, I'm going to create a table. To create a table, what we need to do, we need to change this view to design view. All right. So it's currently on data sheet view. All right. We'll change it to design view. So when you change it to design view, it will ask you, save as table name, what you're going to save it as. So the instruction told you that you should save it as student data. See it? Create a table with the information and save it as student data. All right. So we'll erase table one and type student data. All right. Now when we press OK, this is what we will get. So this is the design view right here. Now it says ID right there. Let's see what the merge fields are, or the field names are, I should say. So we have student ID, surname, first name, area of study, category, marks, and fees. All right. So what we need to do is to put all these in and apply an appropriate uh, data type. All right. Now, data type is like the format, right, of the data that you're inserting. Now, remember in Excel, we can put figures on currency, we can put it on time, we can use a number of things. We can put accounting. Remember in Excel, we can do that, right? Basically, that's similar to the information, to the data that you're inserting right here. All right. You just put in a particular type, the most appropriate type. All right. Well, let's go. So we're supposed to have student ID, not just ID. Right. So we'll just change that. Right here, we're seeing a key, right? It's a primary key. So the primary key is a unique identifier, something that you can uniquely use to identify, right, information. All right. So ID is the most suitable, as you should know. All right. So for ID, student ID, they have auto number by default, but we're not going to use auto number. Auto number would be 1, 2, 3. All right. Auto number meaning it will automatically give it a number. So it will start up, as I said, 1, 2, 3, based on the records that you type in. All right. So we're just going to change this to number. All right. So put it on number, we can type in whatever number we want. All right. If we put it on auto number, it will automatically give it a number. All right. So we have student ID and we go downwards now. So we have surname, all right, and we have short text. So we leave it on short text, right? We have first name, we have area of study, we have category, we have marks, I think a percentage symbol is there, and we have fees, all right? So that is it. Now, see, I have short text for that, short text for that, short text for that, short text for that. Now, when you reach marks, we could change that from short text to what? To number, actually, right? So short text is number. So not short text, marks would be put on number. All right, fees, what could we put for fees? So just like in Excel, we could put fees. Fees would have to be with monetary figures. All right, so we put currency. Currency is the most suitable that we use. Now, right here it says description, it says optional. That means we don't need to put anything over there, right? So in the exam, more than likely they won't give you anything to put there, right? But if they give you something, you put it over here, but usually they won't. All right. So after doing all this and we are satisfied with how the data type and everything, right? You will put it back on data sheet view. All right. And then you type in the information. Now, before I move to data sheet view, remember the data type, it said use a suitable data type for each field. Now, in the exam, they could give you the data type that you should apply, right? Or they could say use a suitable one. All right, so use the one that you think is more suitable. ID more than likely be number, right? It could be auto number as I told you, right? And it's figures, so you don't want to put it on text, right? Number will be more suitable, fees will more than likely be currency, and marks, as we said, number as well. So that's the most suitable. All right. So put it back on data sheet view. When you do that, it say you must first save the table. You want to save the table now. Click yes. All right. And then that's what we will get. We get the table like that. So I'm just going to start it off. As I said, I typed it already. All right. But I'm just going to start it off. And then I'll go to the one that I would have completed to do the other sections. All right. So first you have, let's look back at it. This one or this one. All right. So we're supposed to have 101 to 110. All right. So what I encourage you to do, fill out one section first. All right. So right we have 101. All right. You can use the tab key of Perez, Daniel Perez. All right. And his area of study is business studies. You can always enlarge the column, right? Business studies is a full-time student. His marks. So he has 84, 84.46, right? And his fee is 2500, 2,500. So you don't have to put in any dollar sign and all of that, right? You just type in the actual figure. You don't have to put the comma either. It will automatically do that as long as it's on currency. All right. So remember that. All right. And when you finish type one, it will automatically open, go to the next section for you. And you type in your 102. All right. Now, let me show you something. You can't have two 102. See it? Can't have two same figures. Remember, the primary key is something unique. right? So you can't have the same number. Two person can have the same number. All right. So if I change it to 103, then I can add another one. All right. So I have 104 there. If I go 103 again, all right, I'll get an error. All right. So bear that in mind. So anytime you're typing and you realize that you have some error like that, more than likely that's the issue. All right. And you can use the escape key to erase information. All right, if you're having an issue and you're pressing everything and nothing is working, you can press the escape key, right, to assist you in erasing information or erasing figures. All right, so you see I'm having issue right there. I just press the escape key and then I could go up here and remove information. Oh yes. So as I said, I completed the table already. So I'm going to just go to that completed table. All right, and then I show you what else to do. All right, so this is a table right here. Now notice right here, the 84, remember we typed in 84.46. I can go back to the one that we just started to type, 84.46. I can type it in again and show you. It will automatically round off. All right, see it? It's going back to 84. If you want to have the exact figure, you would have to put it on short text. All right? Or when it's number, it's going to automatically round it off. All right? But anyway, let's get more into the completing the question. So next instruction, after we've completed the table and saved it as student data, we've done that. It says save database file and make student ID primary key, right? Automatically that was done. Run a query, a simple query to display information which includes ID number, name, and category of each student. After saving the query table, display only full-time students, save as full-time students. All right. So let's do it quickly. So let's remember what it said. So what they want us to do is to do a simple query, right, to display information which shows ID number, name, and category of each student. So how do we do that? We'll go to create right here, and then we will go to query design, as we have to do a number of things. We could use a query wizard, but let's use a query design. All right, so we'll go to query design right here, right? And it says show table, right? And we have one table student data. So we press add, we can press close. All right, so what did they say we should have displayed in the query? So remember they said that they want ID number, name, and category, right? And afterwards, you're going to show only the full-time student. So remember that. All right, round table. All right, so ID number, see it pops up right there. So just double click. Surname, first name, and category. So we don't click area of study, we don't give anything else. Category. All right, those are the content that they want, right? The data that you want displayed. So after doing that, remember they said that, let me just go back and show you. Remember they said they want to see only the full-time students. All right, full-time students. So remember, full-time students falls under category. Full-time or part-time, right? That falls under category. So we'll go to a table showing. So right under category right here, right, where it says criteria, we click in that section. I will just type in full-time. Full-time. All right. So after doing so, we can go to run up here, and it should only display the full-time students. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full-time students. All right. Simple as that. So we basically would have completed the first query, right? Would have done the first query. So what we can do now, we can save it, right? So you can right click on it, you can save it. All right. I think this, let me see what they said where to save it as. So they say save it as full-time students. All right. So we're just going to write full-time students here. All right. So we press OK and we'll have our first query. All right. So that's the first query right there. So basically, we filtered out, right, the full-time students. This we have a query to show only the full-time students. All right, basically. So that's how we do a simple query right there. All right. Next thing, after that, now they said that we should. So next thing, create a report. Let me show you. So we're going to create a report from the student information table to display ID number, name, and marks for each student. Save as marks. All right. So to do this, we can use, so remember they said using the student data table. Currently, we have the query, right? Query displayed right here. So we have to reopen the student data table. All right, so we remember that you go back to where they instruct you, what they instruct you to use. So the student data table right here, we're going to create, remember, create, or we're going to use a report. So you want to see a report. All right, so what we can do, let me get this to show the entire screen instead of just some, instead of some. Right? So what we'll do, we'll use the report, all right? So we could simply click on report right here. Or we could click report design, or we could use report wizard, right? Let's use a report wizard. So go to report wizard. Remember, they told us use specific, right? Data. So we should have ID number. We should have name. So you know that includes first name and surname, right? Oh, so we put that. Let's just remove that. So these are less than and greater than sign, all right? As you can see, that's what we use to add and remove. So first name, surname, and what marks? It's marks. Marks. So we have that. We press next, next again right here. We don't need to change anything right here. What title do you want for your report? So right here is where we change the title, right? Or add the title that we are instructed. So right here they said that you should have student marks. All right. So we should have student marks and we'll press finish. All right. So this is how it should be displayed. All right. This is how it should be displayed. Marks is the M for the marks is cutting off a little bit. Can always change that by going to by going right here, which is the type of view, the design view. Uh, don't think you really need to do this in the exam. All right, but I'm just going to do it so that it is show it better. Yes, so change the view back to report view. All right, yes. So we have our student marks, our report which says student marks. All right. So we're following those far. Remember, to create a report, I used this student data table. I went to report wizard and I selected the different fields, right, that were required, and they required student ID, name, and marks. Remember, if you make a mistake and add something that is not needed, you can always use this to remove it. All right, and you go next, and you change the name right here. All right, and when you're finished, you press finish. All right, and you should get something looking like this. All right, for the report. So one last instruction I think is there. Create another query table to show ID, number, name, and fees for each student. Save as student fees. All right. So we're going to use the student data table, right? So what they want us to use. And we do another query. So this time we'll do the query wizard, right? So I'm just going to use a query wizard this time. So I use a query wizard. I want student ID. They want name. They want the fees. All right. So you go next. You go next, and remember up here where it says what title do you want for your query? That's where you will type in the name that is given. Student fees. All right. And you go finish. And all the fees displayed are given. All right. As simple as that. Now, let's say they told you to do a form. Let's say they told you to do a form, right? As we did a query, we did a report. Let's say they wanted a form. So if you get an instruction requesting a form, right, you can use a form wizard, just like how we did the query wizard, and we use the report wizard as well. So you can go to the form, you could click form design as well, but let's use the form wizard, make things simple and easier for you. All right, you click on the form wizard, and just as we insert the necessary stuff, right, you will insert them right here as well. And then use the student data table. Remember, always use a specific table. They will tell you what table to use, right? So form wizard. So I have ID, number, name, and let's say I just use for area of study as well. We didn't use it. All right, so I'm just gonna say this as maybe student form, right? Just to show you it looks. All right, so it will look like that. All right, and we can press this to go through the different ones. All right, you can change and all of that. All right. Oh yes, students, as simple as that. All right. So what I'll do now, I'll go back to, I look at another question, another database question, and then I'll end there. All right. So another database question, let me look at the one on the specimen paper. So the one on the specimen paper, right? You're required to create a database from the information given. Name this database created school database. Left align inserted data. All right. So you follow that instruction. So just as I showed you not too long ago, right? Just as I showed you not too long ago, let me just open a new access document. So remember, get a blank access, and based on the instruction, they said you save it as school database. So you put school database. I've already done it, so I'm just going to put one right here. All right, you press create. After doing that, you will set the ID number field as a primary key. All right, save the table as students table. So this is a table that you're going to create down here. All right, and they wanted to set the ID number field as a primary key. All right. So just as similar to the one that we did a while ago. So we have ID number right here. All right. So first thing, we have to create a table and save it as students table. So let me just go on it. I'm going to start it off and I'll show you. So remember, students, you go to view and you change the view to design view. All right. They tell you to change it. So I think they just said student table. All right. You press OK, and then you have to put in the field names. So the different field names, we have ID, number, name, first name, surname, and so forth. All right. So we have a number there. Let me see. So we're going to put them in, make things much easier. All right. And then we display the one that we already have. So as said, you will put in, see the primary key is there. I could remove the primary key. All right. Or I could add it as seen, but by default, it will give you a primary key for ID as I told you. Change this to number in this case. All right. Unless otherwise instructed, they will tell you what to put it on. But generally, right, if it's a number is a unique number that you will put in, yeah, you'll change it to number. All right. So we'll have ID number. That's what they have. They don't have just ID. You'll have first name, you have surname, you have date of birth. I'm just gonna write DOB this time. Does not allow access to naming rules. Okay. DOB. And then I'll have next of kin. I'll have relationship. And I'll have catchment area. All right. And then, so number for that, short text. Now, for date of birth, you could change that to date and time. All right. Could change that to date and time, make something short text, short text, short text. Everything else is good on text. All right. So we'll change it back to data sheet view. As said, you must save the table first. You press yes, and then you type in the information. Right? So you type in this down here, data that you have down here, as said. All right. So after completing this, after completing that, let me just go on the one that I would have done. So after completing that, that is it, right? After completing that, they're saying that you should insert details for each student into the table saved in C, right? So we've done that. Create a query which produces a list of all mothers. Name this query parents. All right. So I've done all of this already. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of these. All right. So I'm going to delete all of these query and do them over. Yes. Do them over just to show you how it is done. All right. So let's see what I remember what the first thing says. Create a query which produces a list of all mothers. All right. I hope you remember how to do the query. Let's go. Remember, go to create. We'll go to query design. Right. Remember. Right. As long as it wants us to filter out something, we use a query design. Right. If you just want to just select some things, you can use a query wizard. Right. Make it easier. All right. But it wants you to filter out something on the after doing the query. All right. So we add the table, as we said, that's the only table we have. We press close right here. And then What they want is what? To show a list of all mothers. So we're going to use ID number. We're going to use first name. We're going to use surname. We're going to use date of birth, next of kin, and relationship. All right, now I'm going to put catchment here in it. So where we have relationship right here, you know what we're going to put, right? We're going to put mother. As they say, they want to see only mothers. All right, then we go to run, right? And you'll see only mothers displayed, right? Information with mothers displayed. So relationship mother, 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 right? And we see the information displayed right here. All right. After that, now they said to name this query parents. Name this query as parents, right? So we can save it right here. Or you don't have to save it. You don't have to go ahead and try to save it. When you try to do something else, it will require you to save, right? So if you want to do something else, it may require you to save the the table that you would have done previously. All right. But you go ahead and you save it. Remember, so you can just right click on it and press save. Right? And you save it as what they instructed to save it as parents. All right, you press OK. And the query, that query would be displayed right there. Next thing, I'll go through quickly. Sort the query name parents in alphabetical order on surname. All right. Save as parents one. All right. So this instruction set up in a way, they basically want you to create another query, right? With the same exact information, but put it in alphabetical order. All right. So you have to read it. Sometimes the instruction are a little bit vague, but just try to read it as best as possible. Read multiple times and see if you can, you know, give it the best output that you can. All right. So what we are going to do, you can go to create. Now you can use the wizard, of course, right? Query wizard. You press OK. Open this case. Right? And then you can, you can use all of it, right? Yes, so this double one, you can click on it, it will give you everything. All right, you go next. I remember I said to save it as parents one, right? And you press finish. Now, after doing that, they want you to put it on alphabetical order. So what you'll do, you can just simply click in this section, right? You go to home and you go ascending order. All right. You see it? Bob, Johnson, Thomas. All right. Because they wanted to do it by surname. All right. You press descending order, it will change. All right. So we don't have to highlight everything like in Excel. All right. It will automatically change. So Bob, Tom, Johnson, and Thomas. All right. So that's right. So let's see what else they say we must do. Information is required about students residing in Fizabad in this document residence. All right, so we do a quick query again. So we go back to the student table. We go to create. Remember, go to query wizard. I will select what is required. All right, so use ID number, name. All right, can use everything. And then After doing so, no, we don't not using the query wizard. All right, we don't use the query wizard. Let's use the query design instead. All right, so use the query design because they want to filter out something. Okay, so click on that. Remember, close. So we have ID, number, name, date of birth, next of kin, relationship area. All right, so the catchment area, remember they said they want to see person from Fizapod. So we just type in Fizapod. All right, and we'll press run. All right, so only two persons, all right, are from that area and that catchment area. So we would have completed that instruction. And then now, the last instruction, information is required on parents in the system. This instruction is also a little bit vague, as it says information is required on parents in the system. Parents would be both mother and father. Everybody knows that. But in order to do that, right? In order to do that, we'd have to do another query, right? We would be showing both mother and father. Just like how we did the query to show only a list of mothers, we'll have to do another query first to show mother and father, right? Before we could do the report. All right. So, as I said, the question is a little bit vague, right? But what they actually want you to do for this question is to just do a report on this one, the parents query. All right. So something would be missing from this instruction. Maybe they should have said information is required on the parents query or so, right? To make it clearer. But that's what they actually want for this question. All right. So to do that, what you would do, you would click on the parents query. All right. So you click on the parents query. Remember, we have two queries. We have a query one and we have a parents query. All right. Oh, we didn't save this one. What's the name of this one again? Residence. All right. So we're going to do our report on the parents query. All right. So the parents one shows only mothers. All right. So remember, you double click on it to ensure that it is the one that is selected. All right. So we're going to go to create, as you know. We're going to go to report. So you can press report right here. Press report, right? That will get it displayed in that manner. We can put it on report view as seen, right? So we can do it in a number of ways. Or, and to close this, we could do that. Save changes now. Or we could use the query wizard, as I said, make things simpler, right? And we would put everything. We go next. I will save it as what they said to save it as. I think they said to save it as parents data. Save the report as parents data. All right, I will press finished. It's supposed to be displayed in this manner. Now, date of birth is cut in half and so forth. You can always change the view, right? See, it changed the view already when I uncheck the preview. So maybe ID number is cut in half as well. So maybe show it a little clearer. ID number, first name. Let me just fix first name. So don't worry too much about this. Don't think you will need to do stuff like this in the exam. All right. I'm just doing this to show you that you can make it clearer. It can show clearer. All right. All right, that should be good. All right, we'll go back to view, print preview, and it should be okay. All right, so that's what they actually wanted you to do. All right, that's what they wanted you to do. All right, so create a report from the parents query. All right, so I said, wasn't really clear. Hopefully you won't get a question that's as instruction that has to be vague. Right? This is because you go into the exam and you see it says information is required on parents in the system. You're going to be thinking parents is both mother and father. Therefore, you have what, three mothers and two fathers in this case, right? So therefore you have to display all of them as seen except the aunt in this case, right? But in order to do the report, as I said, you would need to do the query first, right? You need to do the query first in that case, right? To show both the mother and the father. We weren't instructed to do anything of such, right? We didn't have any query like that before, and they didn't instruct us to create a query to show that and then do the report based upon that. All right. But as I said, the question really requires you to I know for a fact that's what the question requires you to do, to create the report based on this one. All right. So I'll stop there for today. I hope you would have learned, right, how to do mail merge, right, how to properly do a mail merge, and how to properly do a database question. All right, I showed you how to create a query, right? Or to create a query and how to look for specific things, right? Or to basically filter out information, right? I showed you how to do a form. You don't know. They may give you a form. They'll surely give you a query, right? If they do a database, right? They may give you a report, right? But this question doesn't require a form. All right. Many of the questions don't require a form, but it can be given. It has been given on some papers, on past papers, right? So if you can't be surprised if you see it on it, but mostly focus on how to do the query and how to do the report. All right, and you should have no problem going into the exam. Notice I only really highlighted the mail merge and the database. Everything else you should have it unlocked already, right? The PowerPoint, as I said, quite simple. You shouldn't have any challenge with the PowerPoint question, right? And the Excel, we know that Excel is question that always comes, right? So just focus on how to apply the formula, right? How to use the formula to calculate, right? To add, to subtract, right? To multiply, to divide. You don't know how the question may be set up. Ensure you know how to find average and so forth, sorting of the information, how to create a chart, pie chart, column chart, and so forth. Focus on those things, right? And analyze the question. Read the question carefully, read it two, three times to understand what it wants you to do, right? As sometimes the questions, not the question, but the instructions, they're not so straightforward, right? And sometimes it requires us to think critically, right? Analyze the question and see what exactly it wants you to do, all right? And then you execute based upon your understanding, all right? So I'm just gonna leave you there for today, right? Best of luck on your upcoming exam, right? Focus on those questions I said. I think those are key questions going into the exam, right? So prepare for other questions, but I think these are the key ones that you need to be prepared mostly for. All right. So once I said, I'm gonna leave it there for now. I'll make another video to show you how to complete the questions based on the paper, the completed paper, right? And I'll also assist you as you prepare for the paper one, right? Later on when that exam is closer to come. All right. So take care for now. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, everyone. I'm the EDPM boss. I'm signing out for now.